With the first pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg from Duke University.
Holt comes up with it with 5 in the half. Beckers with the steal. With 2, with 1, lets it fly. Got it!
Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where today we'll be talking NBA Draft, NBA trades, and another week in WNBA action. Before we get started, wanted to remind you all, if you wanted to hear this podcast before it comes out on YouTube, you can check us out for the audio-only versions on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. To get you started, I'm your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith and co-host Logan Hatfield. How we doing, fellas?
Doing good.
I just realized looking at the camera, I need to put some clothes on the hangers and whatnot. So enjoy that, living the college dorm life. But a lot better than I was last week.
Fair enough. Doing all right, Logan?
Oh, hold on. Yeah, we're doing this.
Oh, there it is. We're doing this again. Like, I had to watch this and I was editing the video. I gotta watch this shit again.
Sorry, just needed to make sure that was known.
It's okay. You're in the right.
Still on that high for sure. But we will
chasing
go
it
ahead
forever.
and get started.
Wouldn't know what that's like.
We will go ahead and get started with the most recent news. We'll talk some NBA trades first. So the Utah Jazz traded Colin Sexton and a 2030 second-round pick to the Hornets for Jusuf Nurkic. How are we feeling about that? Colton, I'll let you go first.
I find this like a very interesting trade for two teams that I feel like are just eternally stuck in nowhere land. I do find this interesting for the Hornets mostly because Sexton is obviously a good guard. He's gotten buckets in empty minutes, but he's played some side roles when he was back in Cleveland as well. He's actually been shooting decently efficient with a high usage rate in Utah. So I'm pretty confident he could slot in next to a LaMelo Ball and whatnot and do pretty well. What does that mean for the Hornets? I don't know. If they get Brandon Miller, if they can bring in a big that in the free agency or whatnot that is good enough big there, I think that's interesting because now they've lost Nurkic and Williams in the past week, and they have Cockburner. I think Cockburner is the only one they really have right now, so they need to fix that up. But I mean, as weak as the East is looking next year, maybe they do finally get a playoff series in Charlotte, which feels like forever ago since Kemba took them there. As far as the Jazz go, why? Like, I don't know what did they gain? What did they lose by doing this? I suppose they give Ace Bailey more minutes, more run as a guard, not having to share with Colin Sexton. But other than that, I don't really know what they get here.
Logan?
I one thing I want to say is I hope Ryan Kalkbrenner is ready to play 35 minutes a night for Charlotte because that seems to be what his role is going to be. And then also every time Utah does something like this, I can only think of this image. What is going on in Salt Lake City, Utah right now? It's they make the questionable moves every time, and then you trade Colin Sexton and a pick. That's the part that shocks me the most for Jusuf Nurkic. The only thing I can think of right now is there has to be something else coming in Utah. Like that cannot. This has to be like a precursor for a bigger move. Now, what that bigger move is, I have no idea. There is no way this is where it ends for Utah.
Yeah, I would completely agree. I don't think Jusuf Nurkic's abilities have been desired in about 2 or 3 seasons, if I'm being honest with you. So that big of a price just for him, please, Utah, be doing something because if not, this just looks awful.
What blows my
maybe
mind is that this is still Danny Ainge,
right.
like the Celtics genius for what the past like decades, a couple of decades. This is that guy making these moves, building this team. What are we doing? What's happened?
Yeah, maybe he had some help there. But anyways, I think
Perhaps.
I think this offseason they'll still pretend like they're going to trade Markkinen and they'll pretend like they're going to trade Kessler, but nothing's going to come, and this trade is going to make no sense once again. I don't think they get a big star out of this trade because most people don't want to go to Utah. They will not offer to sign an
Shockingly.
extension. So I don't understand what Utah is doing with this one at all. And then I guess the next most recent one was the Cleveland Cavaliers have traded for Lonzo Ball and only had to give up Isaac Okoro for it. Logan, how are we feeling about that one?
It feels oddly similar to another trade the Bulls made last year, shipping Alex Caruso off to Oklahoma City for Josh Giddey.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming a trend of Chicago trading, established veteran guards that play their role extremely well for young, fairly raw talent. And I don't know. I'm not all the way out on Isaac Okoro. I just kind of he's got one of those games where it's like he'll play 40 minutes and not really impact the game all that much.
One
I
could
see
say
a lot.
Tony Snow.
Yeah, I'm seeing like Tony Snell. I'm seeing Andre Drummond there, where Andre Drummond will get 40 rebounds and they'll still lose by 30. But for Cleveland, I think this is awesome. I think having Lonzo Ball on this roster, it's gonna elevate him a little bit. You get more playmaking, you get some sound defense, and you get a good veteran presence in that Cleveland locker room. And likely Lonzo will be coming off the bench, but when you're six man's Lonzo Ball, I don't think you have too much to complain about up there in Cleveland.
Cool.
Yeah, I have the same sentiment. I think Lonzo Ball, I will be honest, I'm not entirely sure how he came back. I know he had some good games, had some bad games, but you look at Lonzo Ball, the player is better offensive guard, more experienced, better defensively than Okoro, at least in his prime. And you're bringing him in to play probably a six-man role. We don't know. The Garland's still been in some rumors, so who knows? Maybe he slots in if Garland gets moved. But all in all, injury history is really the only concern I have with this trade for the Cavs. It's clearly a salary dump for the Bulls. Not sure a salary dump for who or what the. Maybe it's just you're not really in our long term plans. So let's bring in a Okoro who's a younger guy and maybe can fit into our mold. And I'm curious to see how he looks on the Bulls. I don't think it's a completely lost cause for Okoro, but I think Lonzo helps this Cavs team win now, and that's exactly what they're looking to do as they have what could be a really easy path to the finals, with the Knicks really being the only competition I see right this second.
Yeah, the thing that stuck out to me was really the things outside of this trade. Because of this trade, what does the future of Ty Jerome look like now? I feel like he's got to be on his way out now. I could be wrong,
Good
but
point. Did not think of that.
I see that happening. And what are the Bulls doing as a franchise? Levine, DeRozan, Caruso, and now this for their own first round pick back, and what was it, 2 second round picks, and then a list of players that I don't think anyone would miss. So it's been a rough look for Chicago. I don't know what they were doing, but I'm happy for Lonzo. He gets to play for a good organization again, and he has shown that he can thrive in those good organizations. So I think that should be an early pick for Sixth Man of the Year. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it's easy to forget Lonzo had this team, the Bulls team, in basically their best moment in the past decade. Like he
Mm-hmm.
was a large part of why that team was leading the East when he went down with an injury. So I'm not saying he's going to have that same impact on the Cavs, but he's definitely going to have a positive impact on this team.
For sure. And then the other one we'll look at the New Orleans Pelicans traded C.J. McCollum and Kelly Olynyk with 2 second-round picks to the Wizards for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and the number 40 pick in this year's draft. How do we feel about that, Colton?
It's like it's another two teams like the Hornets and the Jazz that are just in such a no man's land for me. The Pelicans much less than any of those teams for sure. They got Zion, who's got some problems that he needs to figure out before we get to this season. But Jordan Poole, we know when he's in a winning organization, is not the number one option. He can be a very beneficial, very good player. Sadiq Bey, I think, is a very underrated role player. I've actually really wanted him to find or land somewhere where he can be just a good, solid role player, starter, six man, whatever you need him to be. So the Pelicans could be that. I also like how the Pelicans drafted. I like Derek Queen as a college player and think he has at least the motor to maybe work in the NBA. He's got to work on some things definitely before we get there. But also Jeremiah Fears, I think, is going to be an outstanding NBA player, especially with his ability to foul bait that he showed in college. That will only get better, I'm sure, as he gets into the NBA and has those refs. Logan probably can talk about that a little bit. But I like this trade. I want to see Jordan Poole and what he looks like not being the first option. Does he remember what that's like? Probably not. It's only been 2 years, though. As far as the Wizards, what are they building in there? Like, what on earth are they building in there? Logan?
No, I'm right there with you, man. The Washington D.C. retirement homes are getting some rest because all of the unks are going to play for the Wizards right now, man. That's that lineup would have been scary in 2015. Let me tell you. You got guys like McCollum, Chris Middleton, Marcus Smart, Kelly Olynyk. That's a squad. That's a squad if I've ever seen one, man. I've never seen a 30 and 50. I've never seen a 30 and 52 team look so good. And it's gonna be fun times out there in DC, watching all these guys just rot the last 3 years of their career away. I feel kind of bad, but to your point about Jordan Poole, is he gonna know what to do for the Pelicans when he's not shooting 40 shots a night? Like I don't know. I don't know. We'll see if he can slide back into that role. But I think that Pelicans team is going to be fun. They got a lot. They got a lot of young talent there. Shout out Zero Fears. That's going to be that jersey's going triple platinum on Bourbon.
For sure.
I'll tell you that much. But it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to see what the Pelicans can do.
Yeah, the Pelicans, they are going in the right direction. I think Jordan Poole adds a prolific scorer who can be that kind of role player that you need to come in and make some clutch shots, as we saw him do in Golden State. And Sadiq Bey, as we've all mentioned, is a good developmental player. Like, he can work, and certainly be an X factor on this team, maybe this season, maybe the season after. Who knows? But the Wizards are building the meanest YMCA team I've ever seen, so I'm really happy for them. Can't wait to see what they do with that. The Wizards aren't bent on getting better, let's be honest. Obviously, the NBA has made it clear that tanking is not going to get you anywhere sometimes, some years, and I think they proved that to the Wizards, but they're still bent on just being mediocre at best. So good for them. They stayed the course. But now I think one thing before we get done with the trade talks we have to talk about is Boston trying to blow it up. Porzingis got traded to Atlanta and for 2 second-round picks, and Terrence Mann and Atlanta's number 22 pick to the Nets, and then George Niang and a second-round pick to the Celtics. How are we feeling about this, Logan?
The second apron demon has come to collect on the Boston Celtics. I think Brad Stevens said it in an interview where he was like, I really didn't think that these penalties were real until they actually started to hit. He's seeing it, and he doesn't want to screw Boston over forever. So I think he's I'm not saying it's like they're blowing it up, but they're reallocating resources, as fans of the Cincinnati Reds might have heard many, many times before. Some payroll and allocation is being taken care of here. And I think, Porzingis' fit in Atlanta is going to be fun. I mean, Porzingis has always been a fun player wherever he goes.
Lob
But
threat right there.
yeah, I think you get him in the dunker spot on a pick and roll with Trae Young, man. Who knows?
Things will
Who
happen.
knows? Something will happen. I don't know what it'll be, but something will happen.
It'll be
And
an
then
into the play for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but if you look at what this means for Boston, it's just it's a retool. It's a retool and not a rebuild. I don't think the Celtics will ever rebuild. It's the Celtics, but this is a pretty legitimate retool that they're trying to pull off here, and I think they're still going to be a competitive team, but they're going to look a whole lot different come October, and they might not be done.
Cool.
Yeah, I think what essentially happened here, Brad Stevens, the mastermind that he is, Indiana legend, he evaluated the team. He saw Jason Tatum's out for a year. We're not going to compete. This team without Jason Tatum is not going to compete for a championship next year. So what does he do? Does he sit there in his hands and wait for Jason Tatum to come back on the year after and pay an entire year of the second apron? Hell no. He doesn't do that. And what he does is he gets rid of what's putting him in the second apron. Drew Holiday, by the time Jason Tatum gets back, it's unfortunate, but Drew Holiday's going to be, like 36, 37? He's probably not going to quite be there. Be the Drew Holiday that helped him win that championship. Kristaps Porzingis, injury issues. Great when he's there, but also kind of replaceable. You could probably get somebody else to play his role, maybe not as well, but still get the job done. So, yeah, I think this is simply just him evaluating, like you said, what do we got? Let's get rid of what's putting us in the second apron, and let's take a chance on a guy like Anthony Simons, who I think a lot of people said just flip him. I think he could really pan out to be a really good player on the Celtics team if he's got the right mindset, if he's able to lock in on defense a little bit. I think he's a very sneaky player on this team. But additionally, I don't know. We got to see what else to do. They looked like they were going to try and move up in the draft. And Jaylen Brown has apparently been in these trade talks as well. He's definitely a main component as to why they're in that second apron. So I'm curious to see if we see any more, if this kind of fizzles out as the Jaylen Brown trade talks have throughout his career.
Yeah, the best ability is availability, and Porzingis has not been that and may not be that with whatever medical condition he has going on. What's the best for him? But again, it's a business, so you have to make the right move for your team and your future, and I think they did that with this move. Of course, they're not going to be that competitive next year without Tatum. They'll still be a playoff team, but I don't think they'll be that competitive. So this was the right move here. Moving to the Drew Holiday trade, if you flip Simons, I don't really understand it because he's a good player, and I feel like he would thrive in that system. Moving Drew Holiday, I had to look up his numbers. Much declined from his first year in Boston, so I understand them moving him now. Portland's going to be a defensive juggernaut. Don't know how they're going to look on offense, but good for them. But yeah, keep Simons and keep building those picks, and then when Tatum gets back, it may be scary again. Like, you got any thoughts on the Holiday trade?
I honestly thought Drew Holiday might just retire when they said he was going to Portland. That's kind of like the thought I've had the whole time is if the Celtics ends up trading Drew Holiday, he might just call it. But I do think that Simons in Boston is going to be fun. This is going to be one of those years where it's like it's just a team letting their young players eat. Like this is not going to be the Boston Celtics of the last 5 years, but it's going to be a fun year in Boston. It won't be probably a great year in Boston, but they're gonna be out there having some fun. It's going to be the young guns and I guess Jaylen Brown all out there hooping. So we'll see what happens. I think Boston is going to use this year to just see what they have and see what their depth looks like and maybe what players they want to keep around for the future. I think it's going to be a good litmus test for them, and something like this is going to be what teams like the Thunder and the Pacers have done in the past. When your stars go out, you see the guys that step up, and you're like, okay, these are the guys we want in our rotation. So I think this is long term. It's going to play out well for Boston.
I would agree. And fellas, we have a draft to talk about, so we're going to move on to that. A draft headlined by Cooper Flag going number 1 to the Dallas Mavericks. Congratulations to Dallas for having the number 1 pick in the WNBA and the NBA. So we have some winners and losers. We'll start with the winners. Logan, who you got?
So I have one winner. It's Cedric Coward. I think that he is probably out of the individual players, probably the biggest winner by far in this draft. He was playing Division III ball a few years ago, and then he climbed his way through the transfer portal ladder and played himself into being a lottery pick. So I got to give massive props to Mr. Coward. I think that's a heck of a story, and I'm going to be following him pretty closely just because I've seen his development from, like I said, D3 to a big school in D1. So I'm excited to see what he does in the league.
Colton, who you got?
I love that winner. My biggest winner in this draft has to be the Orlando Magic. I love the Jace Richardson pickup. Seeing the respect he earned from Hall of Famer Tom Izzo throughout the season, I think he can contribute to this team early. I think watching him at Michigan State, Jace Richardson in November was a completely different Jace Richardson than you saw in that of March. It was two different players because that's just the sponge that he is and how well he's able to adapt to the team. He shot 41% from 3 on 3 attempts per game throughout the year. Michigan State was a very inside heavy, fast break type team. But he started the last 15 games of the year and then went up to 42% from 3 despite taking 2 more threes per game. So I'm confident he will provide what the Magic need at 3-point shooting, but also a little undersized, but I think he'll still have the hustle. I think he still has the frame, the athleticism to still be at least solid defender in the NBA. Isn't going to shoot you out of the gym, but he's going to make smart decisions. He's an NBA son of a pro. You may have heard of Jason Richardson. So he already kind of has a little extra edge on the rest of the field in terms of what the NBA process, what it is all like. So I think you still got to add some shooting, but I think this is a great step to pair with Desmond Bane, to pair with Jalen Suggs in that backcourt, and of course the whole Magic team. I think that is a huge, huge winner. And I also want to give a shout out to the Wizards for getting Trey Johnson, who I think has the biggest upside of anybody in this draft, even Cooper Flag.
Very nice. For me, my first one, this might surprise some people, but the Hornets, they got the college all-stars. Knipple, McNeely, Sion James, and Kalkbrenner. I love those picks. It adds real depth to that team. And they may not be competitive like a playoff team, but I think they will at least be a fun team to watch. And one of those teams you pick on NBA League Pass, like, yeah, I'll watch their games for sure. And the other one is the 76ers, picking up VJ Edgecombe and Janai Broome. I think they've made it obvious they want off Paul George. And I think with these picks, they made the moves to do so. And Janai Broome next to Embiid should be fun, I think. So I'm excited to see that.
Can I add 2 really slept on second round picks?
Go for it.
First, right back to back. First of all, Chaz Lanier to the Pistons, I think is a very sneaky snag at number 37. He's a certified bucket getter. I could see him working in the rotation on that Pistons team and just giving some instant offense. Very inconsistent in college, but that's kind of just a Tennessee thing. Maybe not so much himself. And then I got to talk about my Pacers. Cam Jones on the Pacers, absolute diamond in the rough. He struggled as the first and really only option on that Marquette team last year. But guess what? He's not going to be the first option on this Pacers team this year and in his career. So he shot 50-40 the year prior, his junior year, when he was like the second or third option on that Marquette team. He's going to be a solid 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th man and just be another 6'3" athletic guy that we can throw at whatever team we're facing.
Yeah, Chaz may have an increased role now, so that'll be interesting to see. And he's a bit of undersized too, but like putting him next to a 6'8" point guard, that's okay. It kind of covers it up, so that's all right. Logan, do you have anything else?
Yeah, no, I mean, if we're on the topic of the second round diamonds in the rough, I think the Lakers getting Adu Thiero at 36 is pretty good. Probably the biggest freak athlete in the class, and he's going to the Lakers. And I think that's going to be fun. I've been watching Adu Thiero in college for a while, obviously at Kentucky and Arkansas, and I think he's going to fit right in LA and kind of give them a little jolt off the bench. And then the other one I saw was, the local squad, the Grizzlies. They drafted Javon Small at 48. I think that's going to be one of the sneakier picks of the second round. Watching Javon Small at West Virginia, I think Memphis fans are going to be excited to have him here, and I'll be making sure to catch a game or two to go see him.
Fair enough. Well, we will move to the harsh side of the conversation and talk losers now. Colton, who you got?
My biggest loser is probably the Raptors, low key. I mean, legendary GM Masai Ujiri gets fired after 17 years in a ring. Did not really address their needs at the 5. Got blanking on his name, the South Carolina guy, something Boyle, Murray Boyle or something like that. Picked him up. Yang Hansen was on the board, guys. I think he's going to be one of those that OKC and Toronto can look back in 5 years, and OKC will have their ring. Toronto will not have one from this era, and just be like, Yang Hansen was on the board. That's all I'm saying.
Thomas Sorber.
I think the Raptors really didn't do anything that moves this team forward. And I'll add the Bulls for also being a team notorious for drafting a project that probably will never work out, at least in their system. That's my losers.
Logan?
My number one loser for the night is the Brooklyn Nets. You had 5 first-round picks, and they just drafted 5 guys that make me go, okay. There was they didn't hit any home runs, and they didn't strike out on anything. They just drafted 5 guys with super high floors. So I was like, okay. I don't really know what Brooklyn's direction is now. It's insane getting that many players in one draft, but we'll see what happens with them. I guess it's just not really anything to get excited about. And with any of these players, like I was originally pretty high on Yegor Demon, but I start to realize if you're 6'10" and you're playing point guard, it's probably because you're not that good at basketball. We saw that with Ben Simmons was kind of a unicorn, but even he's come back down to earth. So I can't wait to see that Yegor Demon versus Ben Simmons matchup at some point in time.
Those summer workout videos are going to go crazy.
Oh man, Ben Simmons is already looking like he's back in shape. By the way,
he's in the lab.
So. Yeah, he's been in the lab shooting with Chris Brickley, so we'll see. My other loser is now again he's going to a situation where he is going to probably thrive. However, just strictly based on how things played out for him is Ace Bailey. He purposely missed every workout so that he could fall and get drafted by the Wizards or Pelicans where he wanted to go. And then Danny Ainge just snuck in and was like, yeah, you're coming to Salt Lake City, bud. So I think that's pretty crazy. Now, obviously, he's going to be the guy in Utah now. They're gonna hand him the reins this year. Obviously, Lauri Markkanen's probably the best player on that roster, but it's Ace Bailey's offense now. If you watched him in college, Bailey is the kind of guy who he'll dribble the ball 3 times in the entire game. Like he's getting the ball and he's putting the shot up and he's getting to the rim. So I think while he's going to be in a good scenario, Ace Bailey absolutely fumbled this whole process and could have gone about it a whole lot better. But definitely a loser for me.
Yeah, I think the NBA is showing you don't tank in the season and you don't tank your draft process. You won't get what you want either way. And you know what? I'm a fan of it. But anyways, my losers, the first one's the Phoenix Suns, honestly. What are we doing? We're creating a 2K all-center lineup. Is that what we're doing? Because why do we have Malawach Fleming trade for Mark Williams and still have Nick Richards on the roster. That's too much. They all do the same thing. This doesn't make any sense to me. And then uh, they did get Kobe Brea, but watched him a little bit at Kentucky. Doesn't play defense, so it's something Phoenix needed. So not the best move for them. Logan, do you have some thoughts before I get to my next one?
Yeah. I was gonna ask you as a Laker fan, what did Phoenix see in Mark Williams' physical that LA didn't?
That
Because
is a great question. And how come
Charlotte
Phoenix
learned
got him for
to
so much
fake it.
cheaper? But anyways, Lakers tax. But anyways, leads me right into my next point. My next loser is the Lakers because you trade up to to basically draft Eric Bledsoe in the 3-point era. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially if you could have traded up one more spot and got Kalkbrenner, center who can shoot. That would have been nice. So we're a long way from the steal that was Dalton Connect, and maybe not even a steal anymore if JJ Redick doesn't play him anymore. But the Lakers are my second loser. I love this organization. It's so great. It's so great to watch and be a fan of.
Good thing LeBron's going to retire a Laker, right?
I definitely think he will because his family's here and it's year
I agree.
75. But I couldn't blame him if he left. Anyways, we will move on now to Foul or Flop, where we bring you our favorite quote of the week and then review whether it's foul and they have a point, or flop and they're selling baloney. Mine is from Dewana Bonner, who said on Instagram, quitter? Nah, never been that. That's a flop. You gave up on the fever. They gave you a starting role. You didn't thrive in it. You've been gone from the team since June 10th and then said you're not coming back. Not a good look, especially for a Hall of Famer. I don't want to talk bad about a Hall of Famer that much, but it's just, how can you say you're not a quitter and you do this?
Quit.
So it's a flop for me. Yeah. Would you all agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to flop there.
yeah, no, you can't. There's really no other way you could put that one. She said, "I'm not a quitter," and then, like Colton said, quit. So yeah, that gets a flop for me as well.
All right, Logan, you want to go next?
Yeah, my quote comes from the legendary front office GOAT, Nico Harrison. He said in a press conference when they were introducing Cooper Flag, he said, "I think fans are finally starting to see the vision." I'm going to go ahead and say flop on that one. Just because this wasn't your vision, man. You had a 1% chance to get this pick. You did not trade Luka knowing you were getting Cooper Flag. Maybe if you want to look deep into some conspiracy theories, maybe or maybe you didn't. However, you can't trade away your franchise player and then expect fans to see the vision. I just no, that's a flop for me.
Yeah. I mean, anything Nico Harrison says is a flop for like the rest of eternity. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a flop for me. You can't take credit for whatever the NBA did here.
Exactly.
It's a bad look. Cole, do you want to go next?
yeah, I'm keeping it short and simple. Just anything Ace Bailey has said in the past week. He just I don't even have a specific quote. It's just like agent, like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like not even real English. Ace Bailey does not say that without practicing it beforehand. I can't. I'm thinking of more specifically the press conference after the draft when he was just like saying buzzwords about essentially like just loving basketball and blah blah blah. Like I don't know. Just Ace Bailey was on one this week, and I'm just saying flop.
Yeah, he flopped his whole draft process, so I think it's fair to say flop on anything he said before or after he was drafted.
Logan.
I'm gonna go foul. Ace Bailey knew exactly what he was doing, and this is a genius play from a Rutgers legend, and he is going to be an MVP in 3 years. No, this is a flop. I don't know what in the world he was thinking doing this. You want to go play for New Orleans? You want to go play for Washington? Nah, man. You get to live in Salt Lake City for at least 4 years. Have fun.
Yeah, that's rough. Um, so we will move on now to the WNBA action from this week. First, we'll take a quick look at the standings. Minnesota is first, Phoenix now in second, New York in third, Atlanta's fourth, five is Seattle, six is Golden State, seven is the Fever, Washington in eighth, Las Vegas in ninth, LA in 10th, Dallas in 11th, Chicago in 12th, and Connecticut in 13th. So, any storylines jump out from this week? We'll start with you, Logan.
Phoenix, come on.
Oh no, he took it from me.
6-game win streak for the Mercury right now. They are on fire, both literally and figuratively. They're a fun squad to tune into, and when we get to the overreactions, you're going to hear a little bit more from me regarding the Phoenix Mercury. But that's one storyline I've been looking at, and then my next storyline is Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell stepping up for Indiana. Right now, they have both been playing very well in the last week, and they're helping Indiana out big time. And then my last storyline is just, it's a quick shout out to Candace Parker on getting her jersey retired by the Sparks. Huge moment for her. One of the best to ever do it in the W. And this is a very, very, very due honor for her by the Sparks.
Colton.
Yeah, I alluded to it. The Mercury were my big storyline. The 6-game winning streak Logan mentioned, won 8 of their last 10 games. They beat the Liberty twice. Now, obviously, an injured Liberty, but that's still 2 wins against the Liberty. Currently second in the standings. Got to give shout out to Sato Sabali, who is leading the way with 19 points per game, 8 boards. Alyssa Thomas has been filling up the stat sheet with 14 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, about 2 steals. And then they got back Kalea Cooper, who got some votes for the MVP last season, still finding her way. But I think it's a really great team with vets and rookies sprinkled in there. Shout out Monique Akoa Makani, a rookie who has started all 15 games for the Mercury and been an instant contributor out of Cameroon. Just all around, I love this mix of youth. I love the vets in there. That could come together and build a playoff run for Phoenix. I'm excited to see what hot takes or overreactions Logan has about them.
Yeah, I appreciate those takes, fellas, because Phoenix may be the most dangerous team in the WNBA now. In my opinion, they have the best big three. So I think they'll make a deep playoff push this year, but we will see. One of my storylines I wanted to bring up, I now want to say thank you to DeWanna Bonner for quitting on the team because that means we can sign Ari McDonald, who may end up being the 6th player of the year. Big addition for Indiana. I feel like Sydney Colson is a great veteran presence, but Ari McDonald just brings a little more shooting and defensive prowess, honestly, averaging 2 steals per game in her now 4 games she's been with the Fever. So I'm very excited to see how far she goes with this Fever team, especially now that, bringing up my second storyline, Caitlin Clark is out again. She was already been out 5 games, and now she's out with a separate injury involving her groin, and she shot 1 for 23 from 3 over 3 games. I feel like some imaging should have been done sooner, but that's neither here nor there. The Fever are in trouble. They are now missing DeWanna Bonner, Caitlin Clark for who knows how long, and Damaris Dantas is overseas with her commitments until July 8th. And this is a team that, when I was writing these notes, was out of the playoffs, still now just barely sitting in 7th. So it's not looking too hot for Indiana right now. A team with championship aspirations is looking pretty desperate right now, so I am worried for them. But we mentioned some overreaction, so Logan, you got any?
Yeah, I have one big overreaction based on this past week, and it is that the Phoenix Mercury will win the title this year.
Ooh.
I
Okay.
like it.
Nope. I'm just beating the Liberty twice. Currently tied with the Aces right now, if anyone's wondering. It's 29-29 in the second quarter. But from what I've seen from Phoenix, I think that they are built to win the title this year. They have a good all-around, very, very balanced team. I would argue they have the most balanced all-around roster in the league. And, they don't rely super heavy on the star power, but as a team, they show up and they perform. And I think, and I'm going to say it now, and I'm going to ride it till the end of the season, Phoenix will win the title.
Okay.
I like it.
That's a
Colton,
good
what
point.
you got?
They are an incredibly balanced team. I was looking at the stats and it's like they got their leading scorers and whatnot, but everyone is contributing all around. And yeah, I like that. I'm going to say a take that Logan will also like. I think the Wings are going to right the ship like Caitlin Clark and the Fever did after a slow start to her rookie year. 4-2 in their last 6. Got back-to-back games versus the Mercury, so that'll be a little rough. But maybe I should have waited a week or two to make this take. But the Sky is a winnable game. They can keep up with the Fever, especially if Caitlin Clark's out. Aces, I could see them giving the Aces a fight. So I think they could string together some wins here and work their way back into this playoff conversation, especially with Paige Buckets at the helm.
She's playing great
like
right
it.
now. She is playing out of her
Oh,
mind.
for sure.
And, yeah.
We just need Cooper Flag and Kyrie to show up to every game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But my overreactions kind of tie into my storylines. Unhinged was the Fever won't make the playoffs because of injury. There's been so much roster inconsistency this season with them, even more than last season when they were a worse roster on paper, at least. So it's been ugly there. And then my other one is DeWanna Bonner won't sign with the team, and she'll choose to retire. Because I feel like if she was going to sign with the team, she would have already done it. Because it seemed like Phoenix was the clear choice, and I don't know if Phoenix doesn't want it or she's rethinking if she even still wants to play and how much she can offer later in her career. But that is my other overreaction. And now we will move to our WNBA pick'em as we try to figure out who knows ball and pick this week's winners for the biggest WNBA games. The first one I have on the docket for you all is the Commissioner's Cup title, of course. It'll be on Amazon Prime Video, the Indiana Fever at the Minnesota Lynx. Colton, who you got?
I hate to go against my Fever, but missing Caitlin Clark and a lot of the roster turnover, I gotta go with the Lynx here. The Lynx, I say that, but even with Caitlin Clark, the Lynx probably are favored in this game. So yeah, go ahead and give me the Lynx to win the first cup, or did they do this last year?
I think the Liberty did it last year.
Okay, yeah.
Am I right now, Logan?
I'd have to do some research, but I believe you're correct in saying that. I think the Liberty did get the both championships.
Okay.
So who's your picking this one, Logan?
I have to go with the Lynx here. My original pick probably would have been the Fever if Caitlin Clark was healthy, and the roster had been fairly consistent. However, I can't go against the Lynx right now. I think and in this high stakes of a game, I'm going to take the team that was in the finals and has that kind of like playoff level intensity every game.
Yeah, give me the Lynx by a billion. I think this one's going to be an ugly one. Those players on the Lynx are going to get their money very easily. I think Courtney Williams and Caleb McBride will have big games in this one because, as it stands right now with the roster for Indiana, they don't have somebody great on defense to guard either one. So it may be ugly come Tuesday. Hopefully not, but I'm thinking so. The other one I have is Thursday at 8 p.m. Oh, by the way, that one's Tuesday at 8 p.m. The other one I have is Thursday at 8 p.m. The Storm at the Dream. It's on WNBA League Pass. So, Colton, Who you got?
That's a tough one because I'm very high on the Dream. They haven't quite been on the trajectory that I expect them to be at this point, but I think I'm still going to ride with them. The Storm are obviously a very, very tough team. I think it'll be a good one. I'll have to tune into that one. But I'm going to go with the Dream. I'm going to stay drinking the Atlanta Kool-Aid and pick them to win.
Logan?
As Colton said, I have been very, very high on the Dream. However, in the last week, I'd have to say I've been higher on the Storm. The Storm are playing very well, and they are scoring in bunches. So, with that being said, I'm going to pick the Storm in this one. I think Stewie's going for 40.
And for me, I'm going to go with Atlanta until they give me a reason not to. I think the Dream are a little bit better from the bench, but I think Atlanta has the better starters, and Seattle doesn't have the defensive capabilities in their starters as much. So I'm going to go with the team that's better on defense. So I'm going with Atlanta in this one.
Also, I want to rectify what I said. I did not mean to say Stewie there. She
I
does
was
not
like,
play.
hold up.
She does not play for them anymore. I meant
We were
Skylar
talking about
Diggins.
the
Sorry,
NBA.
sorry. I was literally looking.
So
I
we
was
were just going to
looking
fix that
at-
in post, like get your
No,
thoughts
yeah.
on it, put it in a little thought bubble.
No, I was
Logan actually
literally
missed the
looking at.
script.
I was looking at this lineup of all their players on their roster, and then for some reason I looked at Skylar Diggins and said, "All right, yeah, Stewie's going for 40." And the second I said it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's no way." Stewie hasn't played there for a few seasons, so that is my bad.
I can vouch Logan knows WNBA basketball, so you all don't give him too hard of a time in the comments. But we'll move
Half the
on.
people didn't even know Stewie was on the Storm.
Fair. We will move on to our shooting star as we pick our baller of the week. For mine this week, it's Asia Wilson, who becomes the fastest to 5,000 points and also becomes the player with the most 20-point, 5-rebound, 2-block games in WNBA history over Lisa Leslie. You may have heard of her. So an impressive thing to add to the laundry list that Asia Wilson already has. So she is my shooting star of the week. Logan, who you got?
I am going with Kelsey Mitchell of the Indiana Fever. I was looking at a few players, but just looking at Kelsey Mitchell, especially her scoring numbers for the last 4 games the Fever played, she's had 20, 26, 20, and 32. And she's kind of, she's really filling in that gap now that Caitlin Clark's going to be leaving. And I can only expect these numbers to be going up in the next few games because Kelsey Mitchell and Leah Boston, like I said earlier, are stepping up. And yeah, so Kelsey Mitchell gets my shooting star of the week.
Colton?
All right. My shooting star is going to be Ace Bailey's agent because he is putting up some Hall of Fame numbers right now. I saw the video of him, flexing.
Yes, yeah.
Absolute. If you want to talk about a draft steal, that is exactly what Ace Bailey's agent is doing to Ace Bailey. So hopefully Ace is able to get him out of his life and move on, but I don't know if Ace Bailey really wants that right now. So we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, absolute steal, Ace Bailey's agent.
I would agree that guy's a baller. Also, to your point, Kelsey Mitchell, I should have added that as an asterisk to my Indiana Fever talk. If she becomes the aggressive player that she was last season, which she has been the last few games, Indiana will be okay. She just hasn't been for a majority of the season.
Right.
But if nobody else has anything, that will do it for this edition of the Restricted Area Podcast. Thank you, Colton and Logan, for being on the show today. Be sure to subscribe to the CX Podcast Network for more sports talk like MLB and NASCAR. Be looking out on the North Benchwarmers page for an interview with radio play-by-play guy for the NKU men's basketball, Rick Broering. It was a great interview, and it was really exciting to do, so be sure to check that out. And then follow me on Twitter at TheWheelDeal and Colton at Colt_45. That's 3 T's. And Logan, tell the people where you can find them, where they can find you.
Logan H_4.
And then just be sure to follow us on all socials at CX Podcast Network. We're on every social media you can think of, so be sure to follow us there. And until next week, be smooth, everybody.